Today we're going to learn how to make a detachable collar, like this one. This is a Peter Pan collar, and once you know the method, you'll be able to make some variations around the shape and do whatever you like. So let's get going! So what you need to start with is the back bodice and the front bodice. We're only really interested in the neckline bit at the moment, so you only need the top part of the bodice. And what you need to do is cut out the back bodice piece so that it's separate and match it up so that the shoulders match up with the front piece. And make sure you've got a 1 cm overlap at the armhole bit, and then lay it across so the shoulder bits match. So you've got a shoulder line matching there. And once you've done that, you're ready to draw the shape of the Peter Pan collar. This is the great thing about working from the bodice, because you can start to see what it looks like. Start at the front and then continue it at the back, making sure that the thickness is consistent. Once you've drawn that shape, you're now going to be able to trace it off. And here is one I've already traced, and as you can see I've marked the shoulder line and also the centre back line, which is going to be on the fold line here of the fabric. Now, using this as a guide, I've now traced off two versions of the collar, the over collar and the under collar. I've traced the over collar exactly over the line of the template. The under collar I've traced off 0.2 centimetres inside the line, and this is going to make it slightly smaller so that it sits nicely underneath. Now you've got your pattern pieces, you're ready to put it onto some fabric. So, get yourself a piece of fabric, folded. Now this is the fold line, and I'm going to put the pattern pieces on the fabric. And remember that centre back point that I marked before? That's sitting nicely on the folded piece of the fabric for both pieces. The next thing you need to do is pin the pattern pieces to the fabric and cut them out. And what you'll end up with is two pieces like this. And then you need to take the pins out. You now have two pieces, your over collar and your under collar, both of them on the fold. When you put the pieces together, you're going to be pinning them right sides together, matching up your centre back points. At this point you get yourself a piece of ribbon, and this will be used to tie your collar together around your neck. So once you've got your ribbon, you need to place the ribbon inside the fabric piece and then just leave it free so that you know where it is, so that you don't sew around it. Place the second piece on and just pin all the way around, and get another piece of ribbon for the other side and do exactly the same, pinning all the way around the edge. At this point, once you've finished doing that, leave a little bit that's pin free, because you're not going to sew around this bit. You'll be sewing all the way around here and leaving this bit free so that you can pull it from out of itself. And now you're ready to sew. Now you've got your sewn piece, you're going to put some notches around these areas so that when you fold it out and press it, it will sit nicely. Now remember that little hole that I told you not to sew? We're going to use that hole to pull the collar inside out. Now this is a little bit fiddly, so to save a bit of time, we're going to cut to the end product. Once you've pressed it, it looks a lot nicer and a lot more like a collar. And as you can see, this is the opening that we left before. Just a simple hand stitch of an invisible stitch in order to keep that together, and that'll be fine. You're now ready to try it on. Get in a bodice of your choice, put it around the neck, and then you can tie it into a little bow at the front. And this is me wearing it. As you can see, I've just put it on the top that I'm wearing and it still works. Today I'm going to show you how to make a shirt collar, like this one. This is a standalone collar, so you can wear it with any outfit. The first thing you need to do is measure around your neck. Now a good little tip for this is to get a piece of ribbon, put it around your neck and look in the mirror, and just get it so that it's quite comfortable around you, because you don't want it too tight. When you've got that amount, put it on the ruler and get your measurement. That's your full neck measurement. Halve that amount and that'll be your half neck, and that's what we'll be using to start drafting. So let's get going. Draw a line which is half your neck measurement, and then add 2.5 centimetres to the end of this line. Square up by approximately 10 centimetres from the beginning of your line till the end of your neck measurement. Mark this point as A, which is the end of your half neck measurement. Draw a parallel line 2.5 centimetres above your first horizontal line until it levels up to point A. Mark this point B. We are now beginning to draw the collar stand. Connect point B with a curve to the end of the line that extended from A. This will be a button stand. Name this piece the collar stand. Draw a third parallel line 0.8 centimetres above the last line that you drew. Mark points C and D. This is the start of the collar piece section. Draw a fourth line parallel to the last line that you drew, 4 centimetres approximately above that last line. This is up to you because this is the depth of the collar stand, so you can change this amount, it's an approximation. Mark point E where the line begins. Draw in the end of the collar piece as desired from point B. Mark this point F. We will now start to draw the point of the collar. Mark a point G, which is approximately 2.5 centimetres from your point B. Draw in a curve from G so that it meets the bottom line of your collar piece. Where it meets this line is an arbitrary position. Draw a curved line from F so that it meets the line coming from E. Again, this position is arbitrary, it's up to you, but we're just connecting this curve and we've just formed the point of the collar. This is the collar piece. Mark for reference the centre back line on both collar piece and collar stand. This is where there will be a fold. And now you're ready to trace that off. It's always really important to have 2 copies. Keep this copy as a net because then you can refer back to it if you want to start making more collars and changing the shape or something, and this can be your base. Trace off to make another copy, like this one. And as you can see, I've marked each slash line on all the rest of the information, and this point here is a notch point, and as you can see, it's where the collar piece meets the collar stand. So mark this notch here because it will help you when you're making it up later on. What we need to do now is to trace off these pieces separately and cut up the slash lines. Because it's going around the neck, the collar needs to have a slight curve to it, and we're going to create these curves by using the slash lines. Cut up each of the slash lines. Now for the collar stand, you need to put each piece together again, but at the top edge, I want you to overlap by about 0.2 centimetres, so that's 2 millimetres, and that will create a curve going upwards. For the collar piece, we do exactly the same thing, but instead of overlapping at that top edge, we're bringing it out slightly by about 0.5 centimetre, and that'll create a curve in the opposite direction. And you'll see that you have this. The collar stand has been overlapped like this to form a curve. The collar piece has been spread out at the top edge rather than brought in to form a curve that way. Then we have the basic draft, and we can trace over it now to form our pattern pieces. It's really important to get your nomenclature correct. Make sure you label each piece so you remember what they are. Collar piece, collar stand. Cut 2 on fold for both of them because you'll need 2 pieces. Mark the centre front point so that you know where the button stand is. That notch point on both pieces so you can match them up. The centre back fold on each side. And then for the grain line, the collar piece is always cut on the bias, so a 45-degree angle for your grain line. The collar stand is fine to be cut on the straight grain, so keep it straight. Now we're ready to cut the pattern pieces onto fabric. We'll start with the collar piece first. Now remember, that one's cut on the bias, so you get your fabric on the bias. And we're going to be cutting 2 versions of these on the fold. Place the collar piece down on the fabric, making sure that the centre back is at this fold bit. You're going to pin it together, cut it out, and you're going to do this twice because you need 2 layers. For the collar stand, this is getting cut on the straight grain, remember. So get a piece of fabric that's been folded on the straight grain. So place it on straight grain folded fabric, again making sure that the centre back is on the fold line. Pin it together, cut it out, and do this twice. Once you've cut your pieces out, you will now have 4 pieces. 2 collar pieces and 2 collar stands. So now I'm going to pin the pieces together, right sides together, all the way around here. It's all pinned except for this bit, which we're not going to sew. Once it's pinned, we're off to the sewing machine. Now it's sewn up, you can just trim the edges. Turn it inside out and press it, and now it looks like this. So place the collar stand upside down, right side up, and then place the collar piece directly on top of it. And pin it in place. Then I'm going to take the second collar stand piece, place it upside down, right side down, and sandwich the collar piece in between both collar stands, and then pin it together. Now I'm going to sew all the way down here. Now that it's sewn, it needs trimming. Now we're going to turn it the right side out. So fold each sides over, bring the collar stand to the front and press this in place. Now that it's pressed, I can bend the seam allowance of the collar stand in and press these bits together as well and pin it in place. Once you've sewn the bottom, you can iron it in place and you now have a completed collar, and now all we need to think about is putting a button on. There are lots of different buttons you can use for a fastening, but I decided to go with a press stud. And the great thing about this collar is that you can wear it with any outfit, like this one, or this. Time to go clubbing!